Staying hydrated, Phantom friends? I'm completely kidding. This is coffee because I've been filming all day and I'm tired. And it takes a lot of energy to make these videos for you guys. I don't want to be sitting here like... So today I have something fun for you that's been a little bit of a trend lately and I think fits nicely with my type of content. So today we are going to start a series of tier lists for various Phantom-y things, and we will begin today with films and TV. I just want to start off by saying these are just my personal preferences. A lot of personal bias goes into these rankings, and it should no way be taken seriously. Like, I'm not factoring in how good of a film it actually was, like, based on anything like cinematography or writing. Like, there's none of that going on. It's just me and how I feel. But you can like whatever you like. Don't let my silly ass tell you anything. We're not doing, you know, the Academy Awards here, even though that and the Oscars have kind of gone to shit anyway, so maybe this is like the Oscars. And keep in mind that these are just the films that I have seen at the current time. I know there's a ton more out there. I just haven't seen everything start to finish, believe it or not. So things like Popcorn, Phantom of the Megaplex, and Song at Midnight will unfortunately be missing, as well as, you know, a few others. So, sorry. And I also may be completely just forgetting things, and these are just the first films and stuff that come to mind. So, but this is what we got for today. Now let's talk about the tiers. So the S tier is reserved for one movie and one movie only, because it deserves to be in a league of its own. Would give this film a kidney if it needed one. Next tier is where we start being realistic. With the Phantom movies I have watched entirely too many times, that probably made my family want to disown me, you know, any more than they already did. The next tier is for those films that had like hella potential and that I really did enjoy, but just might have needed a couple of adjustments. There is the Twilight tier next, reserved for the movies that I thought were awful, but were either fun bad, iconically bad, or they don't deserve to be sitting next to the same film that's going to go in our F tier. The next is our meh category, which is, you know, pretty self-explanatory. Wasn't impressed, but didn't hate it. We have yet another just before our bottom tier called Girl, that's a booty hole. Because they were indeed terrible, but again, still don't deserve to be compared to our last film. Editor Emily here. I like how I just completely glossed over the name of our bottom tier here, especially given the name of it is Would Rather Shit in My Hands and Clap Than Watch Again. Yeah, like the title is pretty self-explanatory, but it is reserved for one film and one film only, which will be unveiled at the end of the video. Thank you. You may resume your regularly scheduled program. So let's start off with a banger that sets a precedent for every other film that we're going to talk about today. The Lon Chaney silent film. I love this film. I would die for this film. If she needed a kidney, you bet your ass I'd be giving her mine. And if only one copy existed, I'd sell my kidney just so I could have it. I'd get violent for the silent. And I'd give you a lung and part of my liver too if you had footage of the original ending. Let's get 2004 on the board because I know you're all waiting. I have a love-hate relationship with this film because it was the spark that lit my obsession, but some of the choices made just genuinely make me sad inside because there were so many incredible things that this film did right, and it could have been a masterpiece. You know, she really could have been S tier up there, you know, with Lon Chaney, had some different casting choices been made, and, you know, a couple other things here and there. I'm gonna put her in the Girl I See You. Because it was a beautiful film in many ways, but it just missed the mark for me. Also, how dare I assume these films' gender? Problematic. I'm gonna get canceled. The mini-series. This movie was just a joy to watch. It was a huge part of my teenagerhood and was both really well done and so friggin' funny. The humor was so on point. I watched it at least once a week. I actually really like to watch this when I'm sick or whatever because it just puts me in a better mood. It gets the would watch and repeat till my parents disown me because that probably almost happened. Let's go with Paradise. So here's one where people might start getting pissy, but again, this is just me. I know Phantom of the Paradise is beloved by many, but I just cannot. I'm sorry. If you disagree, that's fine, but it was so chaotic and unhinged that I literally called up my friend Ashley and was like, bitch, get over to my house. You have to see this because you'll never believe it exists otherwise. It probably should go in the Twilight tier because a lot of people see it as kind of a classic fun bad film, but it straight lost me, so I'm gonna put it in Girl That's a Booty Hole. Picking at random. The cartoon. How about that one? In 1978, Emerald City Productions dropped this whole ass gem of a film and then just f***ed off into the night. I have never seen anything else by them, so if you have, please let me know because I would love to and hate to at the same time. But it's this film, it somehow simultaneously is one of both the best and worst Phantom films that we have gotten to date. I don't know how, but following the LaRue plot so closely that it not only features the Persian, but weird little details like the head of fire. But of course the execution was hard to put into words. Bring on the sleepover vibes, solid Twilight. The first time I heard Christine's voice, I literally had to pause it, and I actually fell out of my chair laughing. And it's not just her voice, of course. You know, we have Eric's recycled gangster animation. French Elvis Rowell and the ugly random children that are all voiced by the same old lady who sounds a hell of a lot like Mrs. Doubtfire. It is truly a masterpiece of cringe media, and I would not be who I am today without it. It truly altered me as a person. Okay, let's do it. The Argento. I'm gonna shock you now. I'm gonna shock you. You ready to be shook? Booty hole tier. Now I know what you're thinking. Emily, how can you not put the Argento in the bottom tier? It is literally regarded as like the worst Phantom movie of all time. But what if I told you that it wasn't? What if I told you that there was a Phantom movie so bad, even the Argento film didn't deserve to be next to it? Plus, the bottom tier is called Would Rather Shit in My Hands and Clap Than Watch Again. And I will admit to you that I have actually watched the Argento film multiple times, if for no other reason just to show them how hilariously bad it is. Is it an objectively bad film? Absolutely. But it does have some ironic entertainment value if you can stand the gore long enough to get through it. I can't put it in Twilight purely because of the amount of gore and other things just make me physically ill. But the one singular film that will go into the bottom tier has put it into a new perspective for me. The Hammer film. I know everyone seems to love this one, but I have rather lukewarm feelings about it. It does have some really funny moments that really tickled me, like Raoul telling the rat catcher that they were vegetarians because they didn't want to eat rats, and Eric just randomly bitch slapping the dog piss out of Christine. But I missed the romantic tension of a love triangle, and there was just a real lack of any kind of high stakes other than, was Eric ever going to get credit for his opera? It's gonna be a meh from me, dog. Next we got the independent film made by my good friend Anthony D.P. Mann. So normally I am admittedly not a huge fan of indie movies. I usually find them either very pretentious or just bad quality. But Anthony's movie was just something special and fresh for me, and it was probably the first time I've ever been okay with resetting Phantom in a different time period. It had its flaws, but earned a solid place in Girl, I See You. Phantom of the Mall. What can I say about this trash fire? Obviously, it's satirical, but it was so ludicrous that I found myself staring at the screen like... It didn't seem quite self-aware enough to be a successful spoof film. I actually found myself more entertained by the Argento, which is only funny ironically. I'm gonna say meh. 1943. As I've said before, I'm not really a fan of Golden Age films, perhaps the only exception being like The Bad Seed. I know everyone's gonna come for me about that, but they're just not my vibe. The transatlantic accent drives me absolutely bonkers, and I just wasn't feeling the phantom-y vibe like at all. I mean, like I said in my review, they didn't even say Phantom of the Opera once. It's gonna have to go in the meh tier. Next, let's do the Robert Englund film. As I said in my review, this was the first Phantom film outside of the Weber musical that I had ever watched. And, boy howdy, was I not expecting what I witnessed. I mean, the whole premise is ridiculous, but the gore is what puts it at almost an F tier for me. I didn't need to see Eric gadooshing as blood sprayed on his face. If you paid me, I might watch it again, but it is going in the booty hole tier. The 1983 movie with Maximilian Schnell. Not gonna lie, I watched this one once, completely forgot the plot, and had to watch it again while taking notes so that I could review it, which is coming. Don't come for me, but I found it very weird and very boring. It was such a slow burn with such an abrupt ending that I was like, okie dokie. It's going in the meh category. Man, I must be feeling really bitchy today. Villain era for Emily. Let's pick things back up again. The 25th anniversary recording of the Weber musical. I adore this. I am so glad it exists, and with such an ideal cast. I can experience the musical whenever I want with some of the best actors in the roles to date. From my bed in full Swamp Witch mode, and that is enough to make me want to put it on repeat until my family disowns me. The Ken Hill musical recording, or as I like to call it, that Phantom movie that rips off every opera in existence. Don't get me wrong, I love me a jukebox musical, but I like them when they're actually the song just relating to the current scene, not someone else's music with your lyrics to fit the situation. Now, those who know about the Weber Puccini debacle, sit down. I'm a hypocrite and I'm okay with it. This is also just campy as fuck, and that does not compute for me when you're dealing with Phantom. There were just things that I did enjoy about it, so I can't, put it like next to the Argento. So we're just gonna put it in meh. So I did decide to go ahead and do just kind of like one-off TV episodes that were Phantom related. So we'll talk about the Wishbone. This is how I even learned of Phantom's existence, because I was obsessed with Wishbone as a kid. I just kind of forgot about it because I was like 7 with the short-term memory of a goldfish. So that's why I typically give the '04 film credit for my obsession. But Wishbone is going in Girl, I See You. Because for a cheesy kids show, it was extremely well done. And portrayed Eric more correctly than like 99% of Hollywood, so good for them. And I just have really fond memories attached. Love never dies. I'm about to get so blatantly biased here. Like, I know I am objectively incorrect in this one, okay? And most people probably want it in the booty hole tier. But I'm putting it in the Twilight tier, and you can't stop me. We all know she was a trash fire, but a stunning trash fire, like a star-going supernova. I feel like I can say these things freely now because, let's be honest, I never had a shot at playing Christine. Too damn short, for one. But even though I always ask myself what the fuck I just witnessed every time I watch it, it is a girls' night favorite, and I love her. I wanted to throw in the Rosen and Shirehorn musical recording, since we've included so many other pro shots. This one starred David Staller and was from the early 90s, if you recall. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't remember a ton about it, other than I did not like it. It's gonna be meh. The music was forgettable at best, the concept pretentious yet somehow also campy, and the woman that they cast as Christine looked like she was like 40. Not to mention the ending, that was, I laughed. So before we get to our last film, I absolutely had to bring up the Phantom episode from the J-drama Kindaichi Case Files, which you likely only know if you saw my video with Sleepy Sarah Elizabeth, who is now streaming on Twitch, by the way, before it got taken down, or if you're just really into J-dramas. This was one of the funniest things I have ever seen in my life. We got such a kick out of it, even though it was supposed to be serious. But from the awful English translation to the bizarre plot and acting, I'm in love with this. Straight Twilight. And I know that there's another one of the Kindaichi there, but I picked the wrong thing and couldn't get rid of it. So anyway, we are on our last film now. So finally our F tier would rather shit in my hands and clap than watch again. This tier, like, you know, the Lon Chaney has its own tier that it was created for. This tier was created specifically for this film. And that dishonor goes to Phantom of the Grindhouse. This movie was so bad that I think they should use it to torture information out of people in Guantanamo. How something manages to be both boring and horrifying at the same time is a remarkable feat, to say the least. These people owe me money. Not only for the emotional damages, but the fact that the first, like, half of the movie was nothing but fake trailers for other Grindhouse films. So, here you go. You know what? F you, 1989 Phantom. I'd watch the Argento 30 times in a row with a constant wedgie before I put you on again willingly. Love you, Robert Englund. Wasn't your fault the writing was shit. The end! Just kidding. Stay fantastic with a PH and keep your hand at the level of your eyes. Bye!